So what you could do is you could go tiddle 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 tiddle. You can see how much my tongue is articulating on each one of those notes there, and it can be a really good exercise. What's up, guys? This is Matt from RamseyVoice.com, and I'm a real vocal coach and singing teacher. And today I'm going to be listening, reacting, analyzing, giving all of my thoughts on James Charles singing God is a Woman, which is a cover of an Ariana Grande song from the album of the same name. And I'm really excited to check this song out for a couple of reasons, and it has nothing to do with the James Charles controversy. It's mostly that I kind of wanted to see what would it be like to do something a little bit different. Most of the time I'm reacting to people that are singers, and James Charles is a singer, but first and foremost, he is a makeup artist. So in addition to getting some sick makeup tips, today, I wanted to kind of react and analyze James Charles's voice. If you guys find this video helpful, make sure that you click like, comment with the next song that you want to see me react to, click subscribe and turn on notifications for this channel. Or if you're ready to get started and improve your singing voice today, check out my complete singing course, Master Your Voice. And make sure that you watch until the end of the video to see whether this is truly a 5-star performance or not.
Plan for you guys, but I also felt like it'd be really, really fun since this is inspired by Sister Ariana to also do some sister singing. So, Ariana, sweetie, I'm sorry in advance once again, but let's jump right in.
I should always start my videos off with an apology too about how bad this is gonna be. Most of the time the singer is much better than I am. I do want to point out, however, that James definitely has what I would say is like he's speaking with like a lot of upwards inflections, and some people would say that he's speaking rather maybe effeminately or maybe with more of a feminine affect, in that he's speaking a little bit higher than he normally would. Things are ending a little bit up on the ends of his sentences. And this has nothing to do with his sexuality or any of his comments on his sexuality. It's just something that I'm noticing as a voice teacher. However, behind that affect, I'm actually hearing a little bit of a deeper voice. So I'm actually going into this thinking, oh, maybe James is maybe more of a dramatic tenor, maybe of a lower tenor, or possibly even a baritone. And that's just giving me a little bit of information before he actually starts singing. So let's see what happens.
You love it how I move you love it how I touch you, my one. When all is said and done, you believe God is a woman.
Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to point out here is that this is not a live performance, actually. And even though I do believe that James probably sang this song a bunch of different times in front of a camera, I believe that what he's done here is that he's actually taken what looks the best, like what movements of his face and his voice looks the best. And there's no doubt that he was singing in the original video recording of this. However, what I think is going on here is that he's done a little bit of post-production, and that he's gone in and done a little bit of pitch correction and probably actually created a completely different audio recording that he's manipulated slightly. I'm not saying like in any bad way, but I can just tell because some of the movements of his jaw and his tongue don't actually line up with exactly what he's doing. And maybe that wasn't the intention. Maybe the intention is not to do this completely, live performance, but you can especially see it in the N. When somebody says an N, their tongue comes up, but in this particular case, his tongue comes down a little bit too soon. He articulates the N, but it doesn't actually come down at the same time it does in the audio recording. There it was on one. You see the moment that I go to that at the end of it, my tongue is coming down, and that's what's creating that feeling rather than a and his goes a little bit too soon. So that's just something I'm pointing out, but I like where he's starting off. He's starting right on an E4, which is kind of a tough place for maybe a middle of the road voice type, like a baritone or a lower tenor. That's kind of like a place where it's really easy to stretch and strain. Let's see what he does next.
When all is said and done, you believe God is a woman.
And there's another one in woman. He's kind of woman, but the audio is going, woman. And that's why I really think that he's probably doing this. It's because it's like, much more dramatic to me, woman, but you actually hear a woman. So just another thing to look out. But I think it sounds really good.
And I feel it after midnight. A feeling that you can't fight, my one.
Ooh, that can't fight. That little riff that he did is beautiful.
It lingers when we're done. You believe God is a woman.
Ooh. Yeah, down to a C3. That's cool. One interesting thing about that little dive that he does down there, in addition to it being a really, really fantastic riff that my voice doesn't move fast enough in order to imitate, he's actually dropping his larynx a little bit ooh, on that bottom note. And even though he can totally hit that with a more natural or a more neutral larynx position, actually he's dropping it to make it sound a little bit more dramatic from oh, which is giving it a little bit of that woofy sound. Let's listen to that one more time.
And fighting my one. It lingers when we're done. You believe God is a woman. I don't wanna waste no time, yeah. You ain't got a one-track mind, yeah. Have it anyway and like, yeah. And I can tell that I know how I want it.
One thing that I think is really interesting is to watch his tongue. He's actually licking his lip sometimes in between individual lines. And I think that's such a beautiful bit of business, unless that's like just a habit of his in his daily life. If this is completely intentional, like for this specific performance, I think it's a really interesting choice. And I think it's very, very cool and very sensual. You see that a lot with like kind of a David Bowie kind of performance, an artist that's playing on the sexualities and kind of the gender roles and stuff like that. And I think it's really, really interesting.
Ain't nobody else can relate. And boy, I like that you ain't afraid. So baby, lay me down and let's pray. I'm telling you the way I like it, how I want it.
Once you start watching his tongue, you literally can't stop watching it. It's just like, it's just all over the place. Maybe he has a larger tongue. And I certainly have had a lot of students that have a larger tongue. And with a larger tongue, with singing, the tongue plays a big role because in a large part, that's kind of how you're articulating a lot of your consonants and your vowels, the position of the tongue. And if you have a larger tongue, then you'll kind of start to see that people are kind of compensating to create those different vowels and consonants in different ways, since they have to, like, they have this big fat tongue in their mouth that they have to kind of like work around, and they have to still articulate those same things in order to sound like they're speaking the same language of the people around them. So it's really, really interesting. Not to say that he has a large tongue, I can't really tell, but it's certainly moving a lot. And I think that if you are somebody that maybe suffers from a little bit of tongue tension, a couple of great exercises that you can work with, especially a tongue trill. So like just that octave and a half scale, where I'm just rolling my R's the entire time. If you do not have the ability to roll your R's, what you can do is you can just make a simple phrase with T's and D sounds that will give you the same kind of feeling of doing a tongue roll, but without necessarily having to in order to do it. So what you could do is you could go tiddle 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 tiddle. You can see how much my tongue is articulating on each one of those notes there, and it can be a really good exercise. Anyway, I digress. Let's get back to it.
And that can be all the things you're doing not to be. When you try and cover me, I keep on flourishing.
Yeah, so that's an interesting one. So that's a D for now, see if you can comment and tell me exactly what kind of rhythm that is that he's doing there. And if you know it, put it in the comments right now, because I'm about to tell you anyway. It's a triplet rhythm. He's going triplet, 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 trip. So it's a very cool rhythmic sound that he's doing with his voice. And that's not something that you see very often in pop music, something that's that fast. It might be sextets, like triplet, 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 trip. That's just a little bit faster. So it's like a triplet over an eighth note rather than a triplet over a quarter note. Anyway, very, very cool stuff.
And he's the other verse when I'm in company. It's all in me. You love it how I move you. You love it how I touch you, my one. When all is said and done, you believe God is a woman, and
Oh, I like that I. And you can also tell, like, in the actual video that he did here, he went for that I just a little bit harder than the actual audio that he's superimposed over top of the video. Because if you see that I, you can see that there's a little bit of a tension in it.
When all is said and done, you believe God is a woman.
Here it is.
And
Yeah.
I feel it after midnight. I feel that you can't fight my one. It lingers when we're done. You believe God is a woman. I tell you all the things you should know. So baby, take my hand, save your soul. We can make it last, take it slow.
Oh, I like that. And that's nothing to slow. That's beautiful stuff. And there was just one other note that I wanted to go back to where you can really tell that this is a little bit of a deeper, darker voice type.
God is a woman. I tell you all the things you should know. So baby, take my hand, save your soul.
It's no. Oh, it's just a little bit darker. And it sounds super weird and kind of like yawny no in my voice. But in his, it sounds like super, super rich and dark and deep. And that's just something that's giving me a clue as to, oh yeah, we're dealing with a little bit of a lower voice type here.
We can make it last, take it slow. I can tell the truth, I know how I want it. But you're different from the rest. And boy, if you confess, you might get blessed. See if you deserve what comes next. I'm telling you the way I like it, how I want it. And that can be all the things you're doing not to be. When you try and cover me, I keep on flourishing. And he's the other verse when I'm in company. It's all in me. You love it how I move.
And another thing that's giving me a clue that this is like not a live performance is like the pitch is just like totally flawless. But like guys singing in this part of their voice to be that 100% on pitch is pretty rare. And I'm not casting any fault, and I'm not saying it's any more inferior of a performance that he's using a little bit of pitch correction here. But it's just that we're so used to hearing perfect music all the time that it's just really difficult at a level that he's kind of, commenting at to put anything out that's not like 100% perfect. And so I totally understand where he's coming from.
You love it how I touch you, my one. When all is said and done, you believe God is a woman, and I feel it after midnight. I feel that you can't fight my one. It lingers when we're done. You believe God is a woman, yeah. God is a woman, yeah. God is a woman, yeah. When all is said and done, you believe God is a woman. You believe God. God is a woman. You believe God. God is a woman, yeah. It lingers when we're done. You believe God is a woman.
Ooh, we have to go back a second. That is super, super cool.
You believe God. God is a woman.
Now that's a first place where I'm actually seeing maybe what's actually from the original clip. And you can tell because the microphone's clipping out slightly. You believe God! Like if I blow this mic out, you would hear like a little bit of fuzziness around those notes. You believe God! Now that aside, what I think is really interesting is what he's actually doing with that note. He's going, not you believe God, you believe God, which he and I both know is probably going to make the voice strain a little bit or squeeze a little bit. So he goes, you believe God, you believe, you believe God. He's still thinking ooh, but he's relaxing that jaw to get a little bit more of an feeling. You believe God.
God is a woman, yeah. God is a woman, it's said and done, you believe God is a woman. You believe God. God is a woman. You believe God. God is a woman.
God. Yeah, that's a little riff that you can practice in your spare time. And I'm not particularly good at riffs and runs, but what's really, really important, I think, for singers in general, is to be able to break them down. And in this particular case, let's see where we start. Yeah, all we're doing right now is just walking down the scale. So, you believe God, you believe God, oh. And that's a really, really good thing to start doing. And you have to know what those notes are before you start singing those runs.
And then guess when we're done, you believe God is a woman.
Wow. This is a phenomenal performance, guys. I really have to say, I'm really, really impressed. I don't know a lot about James Charles, but obviously, you know, a very, very popular YouTuber. Besides the controversy and all that stuff that's going on, in this particular case, he's singing very, very well. And I'm not saying that just because he's taken, you know, some videos and he's probably post-produced them, put a little bit of reverb and compression onto the vocal that he did, or done a little bit of pitch correction, that takes anything away from it. As a matter of fact, I think that it adds more to the production value because, like it or not, we are very used to hearing perfect music these days. And gone are the days where you can hear like John Bonham's drums are a little bit out of time, or, you know, Robert Plant doesn't quite hit that note, or Freddie Mercury is sometimes a little bit flat on those recordings. Those days are gone, and now we're so used to hearing perfect music all the time. So it doesn't really bother me that there's a little bit of corrections going on here. The only thing that I would say is that I would like to see even a little bit more transparency into what the original performance is like. And the closest that I got was like there's a little bit of background noise at the very, very end here. And I'd like to kind of hear what that whole original take was like, just to see whether there are any other little cracks or crevices in his voice that need a little bit of work. But, you know, I'm a voice teacher, so I'm always looking for what's wrong so that I can help my singers make it better. So I'm gonna give this performance a 4 out of 5 stars. Not for any lack of love. I think it's a great performance, but just because I'd like to see a little bit more behind the scenes about what's actually going on in there so that I would know what to fix. So I hope that you guys have found this video really, really helpful. Make sure that you like, comment with the next song that you want to see me react to, subscribe and turn on notifications for this channel. Or if you're ready to get started and improve your singing voice today, check out my complete singing course, Master Your Voice.